Hi, welcome back. We are joined with Marilu Schmier. She is the author of Waiting for Weston, and we're going to run through another series of questions with Marilu to find out more about her story and her book. Hi, Marilu.
Hello there.
Thank you for joining us again. Marilu, my first question is, the book obviously is called Waiting for Weston, but who is Weston?
I have to laugh when you ask me that because really I feel like I only know a part of him. And the part of him that I know is the reason why I titled the book Waiting for Weston. I was waiting for Weston to be this little boy that I talked about, who was this image that I had conjured up in my mind of what he would be before he was born. Like a lot like his brother, a lot like the rest of the little boys that I knew. And I was working so hard to make him that person by, really not accepting him who he really was, and I was waiting and waiting for that. And when I finally stopped waiting for him to be this other child or this other person, is when I really started seeing the perfect person that he really is. And that was the reason for the title of the book, Waiting for Weston.
So we know that Weston is your son.
Yes.
But tell us a little bit about what does he do?
On a day-to-day basis, or
yeah, what makes him different from the little boys in the park that
Did you not read the book?
About? Or,
well,
yes, but for those who haven't
okay.
read the book or who aren't familiar with your story.
Well, the reason why we wrote the book, in addition to titling it what I did, is Weston was actually in a couple of books before my book, Waiting for Weston. Dr. Meg Blackburn-Losey is a PhD who actually is a healer. And as I talk about in the book, I actually had a couple of sessions with her with regards to Weston, and I go in a lot of detail in the book about what happened, and it's really quite interesting. But after she had seen him for maybe 6 or 7 months, she told me, I'm going to write a book about these children. And I was really naive. I just assumed all her clients were like Weston. I really didn't know too much. She asked me for my okay to make sure that if he could be in the book, and at the time, Weston, I do communicate with them, but through a whiteboard. And I was able to communicate and tell him that Dr. Meg was writing this book, and he had said that he didn't want his real name to be used at this time, which I was totally fine with. And so we used the pseudonym William at that time. So when she wrote the book, I was really surprised because he really was he really had a lot to say, and I had no idea that he was so wordy and also that he had so many big ideas about things. And so then the second book came out, so probably a year or so after she wrote the first book, there was a huge response, and that first book was called The Children of Now, and there was a huge response to that book. And she wrote a second book called Conversations with the Children of Now. And at that time, again, she asked me if she could interview Weston for the book, and I was very happy to do so. Again, I asked Weston through the whiteboard if he wanted to use a pseudonym, and he said no. He wanted to use his real name this time. And I was pretty shocked because it was one thing to be known to the Megs of the world and a few people, but then to suddenly have him say, no, I want to use my real name. That was a turning point for us as a family. I had spoke to Don about it and made sure he was comfortable with it, because for the most part we were pretty private about Weston's abilities, and it really, again, I was still kind of waiting for him to be the kid who talked, and so I really wasn't sure if I wanted that notoriety and all that. So we went ahead and did the second book, and I was really surprised because it's a great book. It's called Conversations with the Children of Now, and she asked probably 12 questions to a group of different children of varying ages. Even I think a young adult is in there, and I was really so pleased and so proud of Weston's responses, and I really just started seeing him in a different way. And though I didn't have that relationship with him, because I don't hear him telepathically, I was able to really appreciate how much bigger he is than I ever expected. So to answer your question, to me, he's one thing. He's my child. He's my goofy little guy. And then, when you read these books, and I hope that you take from my book that he's, him and a lot of the kids like him. There's so much more than what they appear to be.
Well, I like that answer, Marilu, because I think it's very telling of your relationship with your son, and how you've really gotten to know him through the work of the other people
It's true.
that you've worked with.
It's true, and I have to thank all of them, because Weston's worked with a lot of people, and again in the book you'll meet a various amount of people who I've come across our paths in my pursuit to help him, and I've learned something about him every single time, and more importantly, I learned a lot about myself, and that I was really kind of prejudiced about what I thought he should be, and it was that singular focus on what I thought he should be that really kind of almost made me miss really what he's supposed to be.
Wow.
So,
you talked about some of the books that Weston has been in. Why did you decide to write your book?
well, I was told I was going to write a book probably when he was about 7, and I wasn't too interested. I thought, why would anybody want to read that book? Because at the time I thought it was just going to be a story, a bunch of weird stories about this crazy mother who was not willing to accept the fact that her child was this way, and that was it, and some delusional mother. And so I really wasn't interested. And even though I'd been told over and over again, and I really wasn't too interested. I finally decided to write it though after Dr. Meg's books had come out. It's been about 2 or 3 years since they've been out. I saw that there's a huge component for the parents, and also for people to believe in miracles, and so my book is much more about my spiritual changing that resulted in Weston, and me accepting Weston, and me being open to the miracles that were available every day that I just refused to see. And so that's the reason why I wrote the book more, and to also give parents the tools and the hopefully the maybe another path to look at as far as what can help their kids, because I was so focused, and maybe a lot of parents are, on taking them in therapy, doing what the school says, doing what the doctors say, and not that I would not recommend to do that, because obviously I did that,
right.
But also to look outside of the box, yourself first, because you're the only one that's going to do that, and then be open to the fact when people, there could be other reasons why people say your child does things. For example, in the book I talk about Weston's speech pathologist, who actually was the first one who recognized that he could read. I had no idea. He taught himself, because I certainly didn't teach him. And who would have thought? If I had believed what the school had been telling me, he would probably still be, trying to identify letters by now. And so, it was amazing to me, all of these things that were true about him that I had no idea. And had I not trusted these people and really started looking at Weston through their eyes, that's when there was amazing things that he could do. Probably would have missed it though.
Well, in your book, you talk about all of those amazing things. Which of the chapters is your favorite, or do you have a few chapters that are your favorite?
I do have a few chapters. I think there's a chapter I talk about taking him to a healing mass, and I love that chapter because it was so powerful. And not that we got the miracle that I wanted for him to start speaking, but we definitely, again, it was an example of seeing the miracle that was there, that it would have been so easy for me to disregard had I not, had so much experience at that point, seeing things differently. So I really like that chapter a lot. And then there's a chapter where we first start to hear, I first learn about Weston's ability to see people or spirits that are past or dead, but as if they're sitting right here. And that was a very strange chapter, because the chapter's about me taking him to see a doctor, and I take him with my sister and Randall, and his reaction and that chapter and that situation, and then his reaction the second time when we go back again, is really funny. But again, it taught me that, wow, there was something more to him than I thought. I thought he was just being stubborn and being picky about being in a place that it wasn't used to being, but really it was because he actually was seeing something that none of us saw, but he saw as clear as day. So that was a good chapter. I like those chapters.
And what does Weston think of the book?
He likes it. He does. I haven't given it to him per se to sit there and read it, but I've been told through people who can hear him that he's very proud of the chapters. He's very proud of the book, and it's now's the time. It's a time for him. It's a time for the book. It's a time for people to learn more about him, and also about kids like him.
Thank you so much, Marilu. Marilu's book is Waiting for Weston. It's available in the spring of 2012. You can get your copy through Amazon.com or through the website WestonSchmier.com.